What's happening, guys? So this episode is going to mostly be on chicken tractor designs. I'm actually going to Google something for you guys real quick, and then we're going to go ahead and get to the rest of the video. All right, so I just quick Googled some images of a chicken tractor so you guys can have a visual. I think it's by Under a Tin Roof. They have copyrights and stuff, so just like give them credit where credit is due. This is not my design or idea, uh, but if y'all can kind of see that, I don't know how well you can see it. Let's see, maybe I can turn down the thing a little bit. Uh, there we go. That's a lot better. So as you can see, the idea of a chicken tractor is there's no bottom, or if there is a bottom, it's going to be a very large grid. I opted not to put a bottom on mine. You're basically going to have an area for airflow because they need a lot of airflow, and then this tin area so that way they can stay away from the weather, kind of be insulated. They'll have a waterer, they'll have a feeder. Some designs have wheels, some designs are on a sled, some designs have hitches. There's a million different designs out there. Really, it's going to be designing something that benefits you and your garden the most. It's been about a week that we've had this chicken tractor. Um, as y'all saw in our homestead update with the chicken tractor piece in there. But we haven't actually sat down and done a nice design and explained to you how it works a little bit. So as most of you know, weeds are prevalent. They they are hard to deal with. They're always going to be present. So you can either sit there and weed yourself every single day, uh, spend a lot of time on it, or you can find something to take care of it for you. Um, I opted for a chicken tractor because that means that they would actually be in all the walkways. I designed it to where all of our walkways where the grass is growing for now, uh, they'll basically mow it for us. It also works like a supplemental feed, lots of fiber. Um, Chickens are also tillers, so they kind of scratch up the surface. That's why they're called scratching. Like it's pretty common phrasing because they'll actually work everything into that soil and till it for you. So we're getting something to mow. We're not paying as much on our chicken feed, and now we don't have to till either because it kind of you know it keeps that surface from compacting basically, even though we are walking on it fairly regularly. Um, uh, so basically, the way grass works is there's a whole growth cycle, if you can imagine, like a chart. Now, those of you that are experienced growers, you'll already know that the beginning and end cycles of a plant's life, there's not a whole lot of growth. In fact, growth isn't efficient. Even if you have the perfect amount of light, the perfect amount of nutrients, and the perfect amount of water with the perfect soil or whatever you're doing, they're not that efficient. When it's a very young seedling, the first 2 weeks it doesn't even need nutrients. It's just trying to basically be born, so to speak. Um, and then the plant actually has to go through a maturity. Once it reaches maturity, then it'll have a vigorous growth for a certain time period before it tries to reach the end of its life cycle. And that's going to be via reproduction, however that plant reproduces. So if it's a cactus, it's going to want to reroot or throw seed. Tomatoes want to either reroot and throw seed, or it's kind of interchangeable with them. Uh, Take hay, for example. At the very end, it's going to be throwing all the seeds and pollen on the top, uh, producing its next uh, genetic line or season. To prolong its life. Basically, it's like us. It's just trying to go through its life cycle. So during those grow out years, um, the production is insane. So what this relates to in the chicken tractor is that whenever you set the chicken tractor, the chickens are going to eat most of the grass and then till it in. It's gonna highly damage that grass ultimately. That's why we don't just let our chickens free roam into our garden. That's why we always keep them separate. Um, say you move it every day. So for us, we move it about every 24 hours. I could probably move it every 12 hours if I really wanted to. Uh, but I don't have wheels on it, so I just don't want to waste that much time. It's kind of a pain sometimes. But this is just our first design for the younger ones. Our second tractor will obviously be bigger for different reasons. So Anyways, whenever I move it, it's going to be on a fresh piece of grass, and behind it, it's going to be highly damaged earth. Um, it is going to be fertilized earth. You know, there is the excess seed that they put, so a bunch of birds, you know, in the area tend to come in and mix, you know, continue doing what the chickens didn't finish. And I'd say it takes almost a week to even for that grass to even recover, and that's not including the growth time, because remember, this is an established plant. Um, and they're working as mowers. So generally, about every week, I was actually having to go and mow. Now I can probably get away because of that scar time. If it takes 1 week in order for the grass to recover before it starts its growth cycle, and probably another week before it needs to be trimmed, that means on average I have 14 days before the chickens need to be back to where where they started. That's 14 placements. So in my case, we have about a 2.5 foot for the width, and by about a 4 foot section. So that means 7 placements at 4 feet. What is that? About 28 feet in total I can run, which is not bad. That's pretty much the whole length of our garden. Well, since we have 3 rows and we only have about 2 or 3 walkways, that means that the last 2 walkways, if we're going to be doing a chicken tractor about twice the size of what we have for the smaller ones and the mother, because as they get bigger, naturally, they're going to have more power behind the tilling capabilities. They're going to be eating more. That means that I'm going to have to double. So we came out to about, what did I say, 28 feet, I think, in total. We're probably going to have to double that. So that's going to put us at about 56 feet of walkway that the larger tractor will take care of us for us, and we're getting maximum benefits. This is actually not my design per se. I took multiple different designs. So people do use these chicken tractors normally when it's getting colder outside, and it's great for grots because they start small and then they progressively get bigger. So if you have multiple tractors, you can just kind of slowly progress them out. Some people do use them for layers. You can actually have a laying box so that chicken can spend the majority of its life laying eggs, just 2 or 3 chickens per tractor, depending on size. An 8x4 footer is going to be fine for 2 chickens, especially if you're moving it daily. Something like that, you would probably want either some sort of wheels or sled design, just to make life easier since you're going to be having to move multiple tractors every day. Another thing is, about 2 years ago in the garden, even though we do till, the mounds tend to stay where I originally dug them. So I had actually dug some trenches. All of those trenches in certain places are actually still present. The chickens are also going to be helping level the garden as I'm placing it. Theoretically, because it's the walkway and plant roots don't just go straight down. Some of the plant roots actually, well, a lot of them actually go towards the sides. They're going to be spreading. So if they're going to be spreading, that means that walkway, if we're compacting it, those roots are going to have to fight it. So by keeping the chickens on top of it and constantly keeping that soil nice and loose, those plants are going to be able to increase. Well, if those feeder roots are going to the sides underneath the walkway, and the chickens are pooping and tilling and pushing, feed, which can be made into fertilizer, increasing microbial lives. I mean, it creates a whole domino effect, basically. Those plants are going to benefit from it naturally. So this is actually an attempt to slow down on our foliar feeds, as well as growing our chickens out for food. So we have Rhode Island Reds. We actually have our full flock size for chickens. The only thing we're going to be adding on is ducks at this point. Once the ducks are all taken care of and the garden's kind of set, I'm thinking next year we want to add goats into the flock. A little design for a little extra meat. We'll also be doing some water conservation and stuff like that. But the idea is that this new setup will actually be taking care of itself even more. So I probably do spend 15-20 minutes a day taking care of all this, but I don't mind 10 minutes in the morning and 10 minutes at night. You got to remember, we have all the fish, we have 2 dogs, we have 3 cats on this property. We don't take care of all of them. Some of them are at the other house here. About 2 of them are but we still have to take care of my dog and our two cats with our fish. Um, we also have the outdoor fish we take care of and the garden. Our new flock size, my significant other went to market, so our new flock size is looking at about, let's see, we had the three ladies, we added two ladies, so that's five, and then we had the two wild hens, so that's six, seven. We had the two roosters for breeding, which is going to put us at nine, and we added one Rhode Island red rooster and put the other back in timeout corner, since we're wanting to mostly have Rhode Island reds for meat, which will put us at about 10. And then we had 7 babies for our first set of grow out to see how they do. So we have about 17 right now, in different positions. I want to add about 4 ducks. Having some ducks that we could use for meat would be beneficial, just to help change up the type of fowl that we'll be using for meat, and also duck eggs. So we'll have multiple purposes. I'm mostly wanting to use roosters as well, or males, since people don't tend to eat them as much. Some people don't like the taste, whatever it is, and they don't actually get as meaty per se as some of the hens do. Uh, we'll be growing out the hens for our consumption, and most of the males will go to cutting our cat food down, cutting our dog food down, and cutting our fish food down. We're not trying to cut it out, but we'll be doing videos on all this stuff as we progress as well. But this is like a full cycle, so the idea is we want to use every ounce of everything that we make, and we still do sales. Certain things. Like I sold a couple of moringa trees the other day. That basically paid for our hen food and the seeds originally. So we're not making any money, but everything is going right back into the property. Again, it just kind of takes care of itself. We don't really have to spend much time with it. We're actually spending less and less time more regularly with it. So it's definitely an adjustment. But it's been giving me a lot of time to start plugging more plants in the ground. More plants, we were already watering a certain space because of the sprinkler system we have. So basically, we're just filling that in more densely. We're already starting to get production. So getting production in the beginning, I think it's beginning of May. It's not too bad. I'm kind of enjoying it. And we have the nursery now, so that's taking effect. I can put a whole bunch of seeds down, so it takes me about the same amount of time. I can just be more efficient with it. And all of this is just kind of starting to go, and take care of itself. So all of the clippings that we're getting from the garden, that gets fed to the chickens in the chicken tractors, cuts our feed even further down. We learned that from when I was getting the vegetables from some of the local markets, washing them down, throwing them with the flock. Our feed costs were cut in half, if not a quarter of what it was, as long as I was, feeding about a box of vegetables, bi-weekly, kind of thing. That was kind of what triggered, our chicken tractor design. On our next design, I am going to be adding automated feeders, automated waterers, and wheels, or a sled design, just to make things easier. Learning what I've learned from this smaller tractor. And using the systems we already have incorporated with the chickens. And speaking of the chickens, we also did do a modification on our automated feeders since we have the new systems. The timeout corner is going to be using the traditional feeder system, the little plastic one you can get from anywhere, even Tractor Supply. We still have the watering nipples there. We did take the one waterer that we had in the pen, and we actually put it instead of putting them up every night, we actually just took it and put it in the tractor. And since we only have one mama in there and the chicks are still little and they have their automated feeder with their chick starter grower, the mama we had some dog, just a big dog bowl. We cleaned it out and put some, chicken scratch in there. She's been more than happy, no deficiencies. Our bugs in the garden have also gone down because of the tractor. So, in the grass area, most of the bugs are going to generally go. They are going to go onto your other plants, but they're also going to be in that walkway. So if you have chickens that need to eat protein and calcium, which can be provided mainly through insects, they will eat the pests, the majority of them, not all of them. but they will generally eat pests and help keep your pests down. So that has also been benefiting the garden. We've had a lot less disease and pests lately, which has been more beneficial, and our garden's even beginning to retain more water. The chicken tractor within a week has actually boosted our microbial life, which I already spent a lot of time on. Now I don't. Like, we have a fertilizer bucket set up, and I don't even use it because they just don't need it right now. You can generally, again, because of the growth, see what you need to do. But with how vigorous the grass is growing, and the fact that our chicken tractor already can't really keep the load of it, down to where it needs to be, we're kind of taking a break. Once the second chicken tractor gets built, we may start looking into adding more organic nutrients to boost the grass growth. We'll see. Get the maximum amount, because again, during that growth stage, you can increase that. You can get more out of it before it goes to its seeding nature within a few months. So that's pretty much it. I know that was a lot, kind of bouncing around a little bit, but the chicken tractor, it's not a main staple for us. It's literally a small cog in a really big system that we've been working on building. And it's really cool just to, start to sit back and watch nature take its own course without us as people having to really maintain a crazy amount of it. Like I said, we don't spend much time with it anymore. We've been spending our time on other projects, actually. Like I said, we got some more chickens. The clay project that we've been doing, it has its ups and downs. Our first round, it dried too fast, so there were like some cracks in it, but it wasn't so severe. I'm pretty confident in the mix. As soon as we get a good dry, we're actually going to be trying to fire it. Again, we'll be doing a video on that later. But yeah, like I said, we just the fish are generally kind of mostly fed. Most of my heavier systems are fed, so it takes a whopping few seconds. And even our cats and dogs have automated feeders and waterers in the house, so we just fill that up, weekly. Oh yes, we did do another update on. I was saying feeders earlier. So the sewage pipe that we turned into automated feeders after we cleaned it, I actually moved both of those into our main pen. So that way, just to make it easier, I have scratch in one, and I have laying like calcium egg laying pellets in the other one. So that way they can just kind of eat what they need as they need. I don't have to mix it. I don't have to really mess with it. I mean, chickens may not be the smartest, but at the end of the day, they're gonna eat what they need. So that system already has increased our egg laying, and it's just, like I said, it's easier on us, and we don't have any complications where they actually have too much or too little calcium. Again, they take care of themselves. We are working on an automated watering system for the worm bin, but that's going to be another design for later. We're going to be using the terracotta pots through an automatic water siphon to where it's locked out and has a constant supply of water in the worm bin, which would, the terracotta pots can breathe. So the same way it uses airflow is the same thing it'll do with the water. It'll slowly, like so slowly, seep out into the the area around it to keep it at the perfect water consistency, while it's all wrapped in either cardboard or a landscape fabric to allow maximum breathing. It's a pretty cool system I'm working on designing, and again, we'll update all of this as we get time and take care of that. So we'll see you guys on the next one. Be kind out there. Have a great day, and peace.